In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the vinyl decals we edited in the last video to make these UV resin cured acrylic keychains. When working with resin, I like to work on a silicone mat to protect my surface and collect all of my materials. Here you'll see the name and the backdrop that we made in the previous video, our acrylic blank that has a protective sheet on it, and some transfer tape that I'm going to use to get our decal ready. The transfer tape that I use is actually a shelf liner that I get in bulk from Dollar Tree. I hear people complain about this, they don't like it. I like it because it's not a very strong grip, and I don't know, it just works out really well for me and it's pretty cheap. So start by putting it on the name and peeling that off and transferring the name onto the backdrop. You're going to want to make sure to have it in the right direction and get it all lined up properly how you like it. And then, of course, scratch it on there so it sticks nice and tight. But for now, we're just going to put that aside while we prep everything else. The acrylic keychains that I got on Amazon, I will link below. They come with this protective layer that you can easily peel off with your, I don't even know what you call this, the picker tool. You know what I mean if you have any vinyl stuff. I am going to make sure to wear gloves when I work with this, but this is a UV resin. It's kind of not focusing well. I have such a shallow depth of field on this camera, but I will also link this in the description below. Essentially, this cures really quickly under a UV lamp, which is, it's a nice alternative to AB part resin. It cures really quickly and you don't have to wait 24 hours, which is what I like. So to get started, this also comes with this little silicone cup and a little spoon and a little spreader. Just put in what you need. You can always add more. You can't take away. Just put in what you think you would need for the surface of this side of the keychain. For this particular one, Jocelyn wanted silver glitter. So I'm going to sprinkle some of that in here. One thing to note is you don't want to make any of your additives so thick that the UV can't penetrate because it won't cure properly. So you can add quite a bit, but you can't add it so that it's completely opaque, if that makes sense. And when you stir, make sure you're not incorporating a ton of bubbles. Try to be gentle. I even think I was going a little bit too quick here. Kind of fold it in. It's not the end of the world if you do get bubbles in, because we're going to hit it with the heat gun before we cure it, and that will help eliminate those. So this is self-leveling, but it needs a little help. So I just kind of scoop it on the middle. I actually didn't even end up using all of this, which you'll see at the end, but I just kind of put it in the middle and I use this little scraper to push it to the edges. I find a pushing motion works better than pulling. And you'll see I just speed this up because no one wants to watch 5 minutes of this part. But once you get everything evenly spread out, making sure not to plug up that hole, you're going to want to hit it with a heat gun or a lighter, and that will help the bubbles raise up to the top and pop. If you are using a heat gun, be careful you don't get too close. You don't want to push that over the edges and ruin all the hard work you just put in. If you don't have a heat gun, you can use a lighter, like I said. Just gently hover it over the top and it will bring the bubbles to the top and they'll pop. Once you have evenly spread it all over and eliminated bubbles, you're going to need to cure it under your UV lamp. Make sure to check the instructions of your particular UV resin to see how long and what type of lamp you need to use. But this one, it did about 60 seconds, and after that, it was ready to go. You do want to let it cool down because as it's under the lamp, it's going to heat up the resin and it's going to be kind of soft. So we're just going to push it aside. Don't touch it with fingers or gloves because it will put, markings on that until it's completely cool. And as I said before, I didn't actually use all of that. So I always keep one of these molds on the side to just dump over my extra stuff. So, you can make some earrings or a necklace or whatever. I don't like to waste things. And as a tip, if you're using UV resin, you can actually clean your tools very easily this way at the same time as you cure your extra stuff. Because the silicone doesn't allow the resin to stick to it, once it's cured, you can literally just like turn the bowl inside out and it pops out. You'll see here in a second. So I typically just pop it out, and especially if I'm working with glitter, I'll use some packing tape to stick to the inside of that bowl and pull off all the extra stuff. But here you'll see I use that pick tool again, and it just pops off and it's ready for you to use on the next layer. So clean up as you go. You don't have as much to do at the very end. And now that we've cleaned our tools, we've had enough time for this to cool down and it is ready for the vinyl. In this case, we're going to flip it over and we're going to put the vinyl on the other side. Once again, use your pick tool and pull this off. And grab your vinyl decal that we prepped earlier. Make sure you center it exactly where you like it. That looks good to me. Press it down and then use your scraper tool to make sure there are no bubbles underneath. And then remove your transfer tape when you're done. Now, I guess you could leave it like this, but I like to finish things off and we already have our resin out, so let's cover the top with a clear coat. Start in the middle and give it a good squeeze, and then use the tool to, again, push to the edges, like you'll see here. If you find that working around the hole at the top is too difficult, they actually sell silicone plugs that you can use to make that a little more easy on you. Again, hit it with your heat tool or your lighter. Make sure you get rid of all of the bubbles, and we're going to cure it one more time under our UV lamp. Don't forget, you need to let it cool before touching, which I don't show it here, but it was cooling. You'll see I touched the surface and it is ready to go. The kit that I bought actually comes with keychains and tassels, but it did not come with jump rings, which I thought was a little odd. So keep that in mind. If you don't have the hardware, you're going to need to buy those additionally. This part is pretty self-explanatory if you've made any kind of jewelry before. Again, because of my shallow depth of field, it doesn't show what I'm doing very well, but I'm just attaching the larger jump ring to the keychain, and then the smaller jump ring to the tassel, and attaching that to the keychain itself. And there you have it. Your keychain is now finished. UV resin is really fun because you can put all sorts of different things inside of it. So now that you've got the basics, I encourage you to try all sorts of things with this UV resin. In our examples at the end, you'll see we use some star glitter with regular glitter, and the gold one is actually some loose eyeshadow from the Dollar Tree. If you have found this video helpful, or you have used any of our design files to make something, we'd love to see what you've been up to. Find us on any of our social media platforms and give us a tag. My favorite part is seeing what you guys have done. Until next time.